Okay, everybody. So today I'm actually going to do two videos. Some of this footage is going to go over to my motorcycle channel. Some is going to go over to my cigar review channel. Just in case things look a little bit weird. So here's what we got. We're outside on my patio enjoying a nice breeze before the heat hits down here in Texas. It's getting to about 104 every day as a minimum, all the way up to 107 with heat indexes all the way up into 110, 112 degrees. So it's crazy time to ride right now, and it's just not an option to be out on a motorcycle. So we're going to do a little bit of talking about Harley, and that stuff is going to go into the video that's going over on the Harley channel, on my motorcycle review channel. And we're going to be discussing on the cigar channel this bad boy right here, which is a huge cigar. This is the Asylum 13. I'm sorry, not the Asylum 13. The Asylum April Fools. It's a 9-inch long, 90 gauge, and it smells really good. Now, I have had one Asylum 13, which was, I believe, the 7x70. And I thought it was going to be a gimmick cigar, something that was just for fun and was actually going to taste crappy, but it wasn't. It was incredibly good. Very, very good smoke. So now I'm excited to try this. It's the biggest cigar I've ever even come across. So let's light this up, and then we'll break out into the two separate videos. Very good. Okay, so let's talk Harley. Right now, dealerships are empty. Everywhere that I've gone, and there's quite a few here in Central Texas. Other people that are reviewing online say their dealerships are empty. So what's going on? This should be the prime time of the year for dealerships to be full. So what is Harley up to? I don't think this is accidental, and I'm pretty sure that this isn't going to really be a COVID or supply related shortage. I think something's going on, so let's talk about that. One thing that Harley has gotten into the habit of doing recently is trickling bikes out. And at that end of June, early July time frame, I don't remember the dates offhand, but I'm used to seeing big announcements and mid-year bike releases. And Harley, I feel, is on the verge of having a big change. I think they've already started the cycle of changing and modernizing with their new engines, their new water-cooled engines, some new design elements that we're going to talk about. And I think that their time is running out to migrate those changes through the other bikes. So I think that that's what's going on. I think that there are some big changes coming in the middle of this year, at the end of this season, and then again at the beginning of next year. Matter of fact, the next 3 years, 2020, where we're at, 2023 and 2024, are going to be huge years for rebranding Harley Davidson while still providing products that the existing riders enjoy. If there's any company out there that prioritizes its current customer base, it's Harley Davidson. So if you're one of the old school gang and you're really worried about all this new stuff taking away your company and becoming a totally different entity, I'm telling you, don't worry about that. If anybody is able to keep their identity while introducing new stuff, it's Harley Davidson. Okay, so I'm going to make 7 predictions. And between now, now in 2022, 23, and 24, I want to see how many of these come true, because I really do think all 7 of these are going to come true. So, let's get into this. Okay. So let's take a look at some rumors that other people are talking about and ideas that I really think they've hit it. And whether it's based on some facts or some conjecture, I really think that these things are going to come to pass. So number 1, the Pan America is a bigger success than what the company planned for. They are having some issues, some repairs that they're having to do, some engine issues on a handful of bikes, and they're doing really good taking care of people and going through the pains of having a totally new product. I think they're going to expand upon that, because there's a big gap where the BMW 900, 850s, 800s, in BMW, the Hondas, and the Triumphs all dominate, that they could step into and I think have even better success bringing in a lower cost adventure bike. So I'm expecting to have that 975 engine brought over and put in a smaller Pan America, Panamera, and Pan America, and I'm expecting that it comes in about the 15-ish, maybe stripped down 13 price range, 13,000 American, and it would be highly successful. Based on the sales of the Pan America, I think that that's going to do extremely good. The Milwaukee 8 is an amazing engine. Everybody, pretty much, say 98% of everybody, can agree that the Milwaukee 8 was a huge success for Harley. And it has tons of life in it as far as generations yet to come. But the world is changing, and we're seeing tighter restrictions on emissions all over the place. And it's coming. I mean, we know this, and it's coming rapidly. We're running out of time. Car companies are committed to being like Toyota. All Toyotas, all Lexus are going to be fully electric by 2035. By 2028, I think it is, they're saying half of their vehicles will be electric. It's coming. There's tons of hybrid engines out there. Chevys and GM are headed that way in a rush. So huge movements toward that because of regulations coming out. Motorcycle companies know it's coming. Everybody's investing in electric technology and things like that. But there is a middle step that Harley has to take, and that is to become more efficient and more modern in the basic architecture of their gasoline engines, which is what they've done with the engine in the Pan America, in the new Sportster line. So I think that those required changes are going to prompt the following predictions. Number one, I expect the 114 to start phasing out and the 117 to become the standard engine inside the Softails. Whether that's more rolled out this year or next year, that's going to come quick. What they've done with the Lowrider S, by pumping it up with only a 117 engine, is a precursor to that coming. I expect it to come in as an optional engine, like they did the 107 114 when they launched the new Softails, and then a year or so in to be all 117. So the 114, I think, is on its way out. Even though it's got a huge lifespan still available to it, the marketplace is prompting movement. The 117 is a necessary step to get to the higher horsepower engines that are going to come out when they eventually have to go all water cooled. So expect the 114s to probably only hang around for another year, maybe year and a half. And I expect the higher performing oriented Softails to get it pretty quick, get the 117, like the Fat Bob as an example, and the Heritage. Now, we all know that the CVOs are underpowered for their price, not for their weight, or not for their performance. They have great performance. But for their price tag, they should have more power. So my next prediction is that we are very quickly going to see a rollout of CVOs that have the 131 as the stock engine. Now, that may sound crazy to you, but remember, what they can get out of even the Pan America engine, just adjusting it a little bit, far exceeds what the 131 puts out. So I expect the CVOs to quickly get the 131. Next prediction. What is this? 3, 4, maybe 5. Wow. Anyway, I lost count. There's 7 of them in total. But the next prediction that I have is that the touring models are going to very quickly get the water-cooled engine. I expect this because, remember, there is absolutely no real reason that the dealerships should be this light on motorcycles unless Harley is getting ready to want that inventory off the dealership floor. And they know there's going to be a little bit of resistance putting that engine into the touring bikes. But if that's the only option that you can buy, they can overcome some of that resistance. Once buyers start enjoying that engine, they're not going to have any issues because it's a fabulous engine. And it is the future of Harley. So I think this shortage in supply and demand with the bikes that's going on right now is a setup, a very smart setup to prepare us for a more powerful version, maybe just a little bit more powerful than the Pan America version of the touring bikes. Okay, 131 going into the CVOs will last probably a little while, maybe a year or so, and then they're going to get a high performance version. Ah, here come the puppies. Here. Yeah, come here. Good Bobby. Good Bobby. Good babies. Okay. Oh, thank you. Starbucks. But where was I? Oh yeah. That the CVOs eventually get a high power performance oriented version of the water cooled engine. But they'll have a stint with the 131 for those people that have been asking for it and craving for it, and they'll sell out. They'll sell out super quick. Touring bikes will get very soon, I'm absolutely certain, the water-cooled engine. And they're probably going to get a bunch of new tech with it as well. That's for another video. Are these changes that Harley's making good? I think so, because the company has to survive. If they don't make the changes, they're not around, and we can't buy bikes from them. So I do think that it is for the better that they're making these changes, and they have to make them sooner rather than later. What else? The Icon. Let's talk about the Icon. Here's my next prediction. And I expect this to come true very, very quickly, like this year, with the Icon release. It needs to be a bike that is steeped deep in the history of Harley Davidson. There's a lot of rumors, which if they come true, I'm going to be super disappointed that it's another variant of the Lowrider S. Lowrider S is important to the Harley culture. It broke a lot of ground. It's a great bike. But I'm talking about something that's even more iconic, that the non-Harley owners, when they see this bike, they know it's a Harley. When they think of Harley, they think of this bike, like a Fat Boy. They need to go out there and get soft tail for the Icon series this year. And it needs to be the Fat Boy. If not the Fat Boy, maybe a Heritage Classic. But probably the Fat Boy would be the best choice for them. I think that if they do yet another another Lowrider S with the variants that already are there, that they're just cannibalizing that same customer. And it's not going to be as impactful as if they do something that's even more iconic. So that's what I'm expecting. I don't think Harley is stupid enough to do another version as an Icon series of the Lowrider S. I can't wait till we find out what it is. I mean, already in June, and that should be happening hopefully within the next 60 days. I like a midsummer release of new stuff much more than I like an end-of-season release. You know what I mean? Another prediction. Let's go back to the touring bikes for a moment. This is another love it or hate it thing. I love it, but a lot of people are going to hate it. It's going to be one of those 50-50 issues. But it's going to definitely add to the performance. I expect the Road Glide to lose the double headlights, keep the sharp nose fairing, but get a light bar that is very similar to the Fat Bob and to the Sportster S. Harley loves that light, and people that are performance riders love that light. I've had videos of that light on the Fat Bob that I had, and it's incredible the view, the visibility that it gives you. And it's a design element that came straight from the marketplace, from people that were modifying their bikes. So we know that there's a huge demand for it. And the Fat Bob has been increasing in sales. It's a staple now. And of course the Sportster S. So when you have the lowest platform and the middle platform have a representation of a design element, you can expect that the only remaining platform, the touring platform, is also going to get that design element. And I think the Road Glide would be perfect for it. So expect, maybe they'll hold that off until they put the water-cooled engines in it, but I expect that light bar to come very quickly. And it will probably come with the new engine because it will signal the advancement in technology. But hear me now, there is a light bar coming to the Road Glide. We've all heard the rumors about a Bronx, and I think that is still on the table. I think that they are going to come out with the Bronx and several more Sportster models. But in that entry-level price point, having a Bronx series and a Sportster series is a very inexpensive way to have a bigger lineup in the area where most people coming into riding can afford. And I think that that's a really good move. So Bronx, multiple versions over the next few years. Probably two more models to the Sportster lineup. Expect that. So that's it. That's my predictions for changes that I'm really believing we're going to see over the next 3 years with Harley Davidson. Man, it's a really good cigar. When supplies start to disappear, bikes start not making it to the dealer when there's no other explanation, that's when you start to get ready for some changes to happen. Very exciting time. This has caused me to change my plans with Jade, my Road King Special that we're modifying. There's a couple events all leading up to the big change, okay? And we're going to have a video just about the big change, but to kind of lay the groundwork. There's some events in my wife's and mine's lives that are changing everything. So it's going to change where and how we live. It's going to change the, available budget that I have for a toy. All for the better. All for the really good better. Good better, there you go. Good better. And I'm excited for that. My needs on my bike are changing. Now, we are into what I was going to ultimately end up with a 131 build on Jade. But I'm thinking now, and I know I have a problem. But I'm thinking now that it's time to possibly consider swapping Jade out for another bike. I know. In the last 5 years, I've had 5 bikes. And for the most part, they've all been pretty freaking expensive bikes. They're top-range bikes. But what prompted that train of thought is that my wife has decided that she is ready to start riding with me. And I'm super excited about that because she has been very concerned about riding. And she is now really interested in sharing my hobby with me. So I tested the waters. We ordered some helmets. They came in. She's super excited about her helmet. We have matching helmets. Again, I know I have a huge amount of helmets. I get it. I have a problem. We've already discussed this. But now we have matching helmets. But what that means is I need to be able to ride with her. And a Road King is an incredible bike. It is an incredible passenger bike. But, being how nervous she is and new to riding, I don't think she's going to be as comfortable on the back of the Road King as she would another bike. The windshield I have, which I love, is great for the rider. You got some buffeting on the passenger. Got my Batwing fairing I could throw on there, but again, I would expect, based on how it performs for me, that the passenger is going to get a buffeting. And I want to take some really good adventure rides with her. So I want to get a bike that is more suited to commonly having a passenger on it. with the things that I'm expecting coming up with the touring bikes, make me question when the right time to buy is. So let's assume pricing is not an issue, and I have no concern about losing money on the $35,000 I have into Jade now, which is a $25,000 bike. So I have 10 grand already into it, and let's just say I'm not concerned about losing that. What bike would be best? Hang on one second. Mom's making cinnamon rolls? Awesome. Cool, baby. I'll be in a little bit. The wife is making cinnamon rolls. Okay, so don't hate me, but I do have a little bit of a thought in there concerning the performance of the BMW K1600 Grand America. That's offset by the reliability issues of the K1600. BMW braking issues, and by braking I mean the actual brake components failing and bikes being sidelined for a year and a half. Stuff like that bothers me with them. I also have some thoughts on the Goldwing Tour, which is very performance oriented. Don't let me lose you yet. Just stay with me here. But I have a great deal of concerns that 90% of the outside of that bike is just plastic. And as you all know, I have back issues. I'm very comfortable on the Harley platform. So there's a lot of me that just wants to go to a Harley platform. Stay with Harley. I know you want me to stay with Harley. I know it. But which touring bike? And if I were to pick one today, like right now, I'd be very tempted to go with the Road Glide Limited, but I know that I would choose the Ultra Limited, the with the Batwing fairing. I know that's what I would choose, just because of the ergonomics of that bike. But what are they going to do in the next couple months? How soon is that water-cooled engine going to come out? Because I want that in a touring bike. I want it. How soon are they going to put that bar light on the Road Glide? Because I'll tell you, if that happens, I would do that. I would deal with the small ergonomic things to get a Road Glide with the big light bar on it. The Road Glide Limited. I don't know. I don't know. But I do know this. If we get a Harley, you guys know me, this will be the 5th bike in 5 years, so you probably know where I'm going to land on this. But let's just say if I get the Harley, I would immediately order a 131 crate engine to be put on it before I even take possession, if it doesn't have the water-cooled engine. And I would do this because then the engine would be warranted for the entire 2 years that the bike's warranted, if you do it within, I think it's 2 months of buying the bike. So I would do that immediately. I would take a lot of the build that we designed for Jade and I would put it on this bike, such as we'd get the Bassani, we would single-sided Bassani, we'd get the super high input or intake air filter. There's a lot of elements like that. Definitely would just right from the start get those Legend shocks put in it, front and back, the Revos. And then we would do a modification series of the bits and pieces, all the bauble that we put on it to make it ours, and look at paint schemes and things like that. It would take, calculated it out, if I go the Harley route, it would take an additional $6,000 to $7,000 to give it the performance that would pass up the Goldwing and be on par with the K1600. So that's the challenge. I know this statement's going to drive you crazy. Hang on one second. Stefan, I need you to go in. I'm recording a video about tobacco, so you can't be around it. I'm sorry, sir. Thank you. Where was I? Do I get a Harley that would be the same price as a K1600 or a Goldwing? Let's just say they're all within $1,000 or $1,500 of each other. But to make the Harley in the same league from a power output situation, have to put $8,000 more into it. But this statement is going to drive crazy. Have the reliability of a Harley, which is, regardless of all the arguments I'm going to get on this, the Harley is so much more reliable than the BMW platform. And so much less expensive to maintain. It absolutely is. I know several BMW owners, and the Harley is so much less expensive to maintain. It's a big chunk, for the most part, of steel just rolling down the highway. Gives you a certain feel that's good for my frame and my back issues. Is it worth it? So that's the question. Man, I don't know. But I like to have fun. Leave me your thoughts and comments. Tell me what you think. Your advice. Probably not going to listen to it, just to be upfront. But I still would like to know. I would. Let me know what you think. Let's see what happens. And pay attention to those predictions. Let's see how many of them come true, how soon they come true. Okay, guys, I thought of a couple other things real quick before I let you go. The noise in the background, my wife's doing some gardening. I'll even give you a shot of that in a few moments. But to get back to Harley Davidson. You may be wondering why I haven't considered the Indian. I have rode, whatever the proper words are, a few of the Indians, and they ride really good. But there are major cheap plastic components. Twice on test drives, 2 different models, I had the plastic mirrors rattle loose and come loose. The stems, the housing, everything's plastic on them. It drives me bonkers. The different components down on the engine, covering, very cheap, like cheap plastic. Like you'd get out of a toy vending machine, grade plastic is what it feels like to me. And then the infotainment screens are the basic Polaris infotainment screens, parts bin stuff. They have a good idea, but they don't have the quality that I would expect when you're spending money for a $30,000-ish bike. So I'm just not going to consider Indian at this point, because and I don't mean to offend those of you that own an Indian. If that's your thing, great. Just like cigars, smoke what's good for you. I am not happy with the quality of the build on Indians. Okay. Another thing, going back to why I think those predictions, especially touring models and especially a mid-year release, is coming, besides the fact that the inventory is very low when it shouldn't be at the dealership, is the fact that there's only a few colors that are available on the touring models. The touring models normally have a wider range of colors. Now, if you look at them, it may look like there's 6 or 7 different colors, but they're not. The only difference is they have 3 colors with chrome pipes, 3 colors with black pipes, but you still only have a very limited number of colors, black, gray, and 1 actual color option. That tells me that there's more coming. So, at least I hope there is, because I like colors on a bike. I have the Deadwood Green on Jade, and I love that color on her. It's perfect. I would like to see some red bikes, not the Midnight Crimson, but some actual red bikes, some more vivid blues, some greens, and they have it in the other lines, so you can find multiple colors on the soft tails. But the touring bikes, very limited colors, tells me hopefully that we're going to get some more mid-year, so next 60 days, within that time frame, I'm hoping. So just wanted to throw those 2 bits of information in, and this time's for real. I will see you on the next video.